Game 5 win. PG-13 racked up 41 points on 15 of 20 shooting from the floor. That included 3 of 6 from deep and a perfect 8 of 8 from the free throw line. Teammate DeMarcus Cousins defended PG-13 after the game, saying he's taken a bad rap. Take a listen.
I don't know where this trolling has come from, where the internet controls the narrative about these players. It's becoming foolish, man. Like I said earlier in the year, that's one of the most special players to ever lace his shoes up. Get this dude his flowers, man. I don't understand the slander.
How about that? All right, Chris Broussard back with us. So, Chris, I start with you. How much truth is there to that?
Well, first, I think he started off very true, talking about social media. And, guys, people on social media who would fawn all over Paul George and other NBA stars, Boogie Cousins, if they saw them in public, asking for selfies and pictures and things like that, are sometimes ruthless on social media. The thing is, that happens to everybody, all right? Even Michael Jordan, there's the crying Jordan meme. So everybody gets mocked to a degree on social media. So he's right in that. Then he goes on to talk about Paul George at being a special player. Now, look, you guys know I sat on here last week, and I said that Paul George is probably a Hall of Famer. And I think that this run in the playoffs, even as he's had his ups and downs, this is a nice run. I mean, this is a special run to score 20 straight points or 20 points in 18 straight playoff games. Only Durant, Jordan, and one more person, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, have done that. LeBron.
No, LeBron didn't do it. You talking about the 20 points. The 20 points in 18 consecutive games?
Yeah.
Kobe did it in 2008.
Yes. Kobe, Jordan, and Durant. All right, so that's special company. All right, and I think if they go, like a game like last night is one that people will remember when they think about his Hall of Fame case. If they somehow come back and win this series, I actually think Paul George solidifies it. Case closed. He'll be a Hall of Famer. And so, depending on how broad you go, I mean, Boogie is going really broadly to say that he's one of the most special players ever to play the game. The Hall of Fame is phenomenal, obviously. But everybody in the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't say is one of the most special. Ben Wallace just got put in the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't say he's one of the most special players ever to lace up sneakers. Dennis Johnson, who was great for the Celtics in Seattle, I wouldn't say he's one of the most special players that ever lace up sneakers. So I just don't feel comfortable saying that about Paul George. I don't think he's a top 10 small forward of all time. He's obviously got a little time to strengthen his case over the next several years. But I can think of a dozen guys at small forward that I would put before Paul George, and even more than that. So the statement, one of the most special guys to ever lace him up, that doesn't really sit well with me. I don't think of Paul George like that. But I do think he is solidifying and strengthening his case to be a Hall of Famer. So if you go really broad, as Boogie apparently wants to, then I guess.
Damn, Hall of Famer, a guy that doesn't get a ring, never was an MVP, never was a Finals MVP, never been an All-Star Game MVP.
Tracy McGrady.
God, dang.
No,
never won his playoffs.
Okay, you're right.
In fact, I think you're in the Basketball Hall of Fame as well as in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, right?
Chris, let me ask you this. So when all these
standards
guys...
a little lower, yeah.
Chris, so let me ask you this. When all these players in Paul George's face, from the Devin Bookers and all these guys saying you soft, you ain't this, you ain't that, is that social media driven, or is that the players that play the game talking to him?
No, that's fair. I mean, look, as Skip said, he opened himself up to that. As much as we obviously support mental health, you know, when you in a cutthroat game, dudes will use that to go against you. And so I think that's a part of it.
But the problem that I have, look, and I love that men and women are addressing the mental health issue. I really do, Chris. But when he was flying on cloud 9, he never mentioned that. It wasn't until he started to falter, he started choking and choking and choking, that he brought this. Now, he might have been dealing with that. But when he was freewheeling, finishing third in the MVP, as Skip brought up, he didn't mention anything. He didn't mention anything. That's my only problem. But he gave himself the name Playoff P. I had Ashley go back and said, I want you to find out the first time that a player or a coach or someone mentioned the word Playoff P. It was in 2018. Before the final, before they played Utah. That was the first time. And he mentioned it. So if you give yourself a name, Playoff, or you give yourself a name, Skip, I didn't give my name Big Play Shay. They gave me that. Because in the playoffs, I made a big play. So they started.
I would think Ray gave it to you.
Trent Difford gave me that name. But Skip, you give yourself a name like that. I mean, you got to live up to it and win. The playoffs, not the regular season. Eastern Conference Finals. When he took that big three, Miami Heat, he was 7 points, 2 of 9.
Right.
Against LeBron his last year, he's 5 of 21. They got swept. Against Utah, he was 2 of 16, 5 points. That's playoff P. You didn't say regular season P. You said playoff P. Magic Johnson.
So you think he's not a Hall of Famer? Or, you know, you would make the case against it.
I don't know. Like Skip said, I mean, with that ref, I mean, never won a scoring title, never been an MVP. But hey, you might be Skip. Hey, Chris, you follow it.
Guys like that.
You vote. So you would know better than I. All I know is last night he was special, and I haven't seen enough of this for him to warrant the name, call himself Playoff P, and then when people criticize him, he get all upset and talking about, you know, we talking sideways.
Okay. I believe that Paul George is a rare talent because you just can't find 6'8", long, who can play defense at such a high level that he's made 4 all-defense teams. He's a very good shooter. He's a great free throw shooter. He's a very good three-point shooter. So he's in LeBron's ballpark in talent. I'm not saying he's better than LeBron, but he has much of what LeBron has. He's a very good passer. He's not LeBron, but it's quite a package of ability that he has. Yeah. Which is why he has become, for me, the most conflicting, confounding player I've ever tried to root for on a consistent basis. Because I don't know from quarter to quarter what I'm going to get from pandemic P or playoff P. Right. But he has high capability of going playoff P on you when you least expect it. See last night's third quarter. Right. And when I look at the overall numbers, like you brought this one up, he's on 20-plus scoring games. To start off a playoff run, he's up to 18. Well, the all-time record is Jordan in 92 went 22 straight. Right. So could playoff P, if he scores 20-plus and they win finals? Sure, absolutely. Could he break Jordan's record for consecutive opening games of 20-plus points? Yes. Because it's not hard for him to get 20-plus because that's just pretty much what he does, right? Yeah. And I look at his numbers since he came in the league. His playoff numbers, there are only 2 other players who have put up these kind of numbers, and they're beyond him, but it's obviously LeBron and KD. Right. But he's third on that list in just overall impact numbers in playoff games. Yet, if you look at his playoff record in his 107 playoff games, he's 51 and 56. So he's lost more than he's won. Yes. What does that tell you? That he didn't dominate those games. Right. He like LeBron. You look at LeBron's overall record; it's just extraordinary because he's way over 500 because he's that guy. Right. Well, is this guy that guy? No. Not always. Not enough. He can be. He was last night, right? But there are few players capable of putting up the numbers he put up last night.
Well, that's what's frustrating because you see what he does, and you know what he's capable of. And Chris, far too many times in big moments, he doesn't do it.
Okay.
What do you think, Chris?
Skip, you think Boogie's statement? You think Boogie's statement about him being one of the most special guys?
Absolutely, I buy that. But Boogie's being naive if he says, I don't know where this internet narrative comes from. Well, it came from the bubble. Yeah. He inflicted it upon himself. And to your point, he inflicted the nickname upon himself. Right. You can't call yourself playoff P if you can't consistently live up to that nickname.
But Chris and Skip, he had faltered in the playoffs outside of the bubble.
Sure.
He make it seem like the bubble was an isolated incident. Did he not remember what happened just the year before? Do he not remember what happened his last year in Indy? He got swept by LeBron, and in Game 4, he was awful. Yep. Does he not remember? He got in the Eastern Conference Final.
Wait a second. Remember Game 1 of, we're going back
against LeBron.
Was that our first year on Undisputed?
When he passed the ball to C.J. Miles.
He was running from the last shot.
It didn't say C.J. got to give me the ball back. You passed the ball to the man with 2 seconds. It didn't say get a basketball back. But Chris, if you go back and look at Paul's career, when he was given the big three in Miami fits, there was no expectations. Once he made a name for himself, now comes expectations with that. And remember,